there's value in a fresh start, but how much is too much? And I think clearly, as we could tell by the situation currently going on, this is too much. The simple fact of the matter is that OSRS has been designed to grow, and World of Warcraft, nearly every version of the game, has been designed to surge and then burn out immediately. When Blizzard had the opportunity to do the exact same thing, they instead chose to throw their game and their players' time investment into a recycler. And despite how much time you put into it, you're still where you left off. Square one. And any time you put into mastery or discovery has resulted in only memories, while the 2019 version follows the same path that led to its very creation.
I am tired, boys. I am a bit tired of the discussion of what is better, horizontal progression or vertical progression. Tired of the fact that this stupid discussion even exists. It's like you would talk about a competitive FPS game like Counter-Strike and you would ask yourself, what is better for the game? Skill expression and getting better throughout time, or the possibility for you to buy perks and abilities the more you play? It's simple, different gaming genres do different things and have different characteristics. So what the hell is with this discussion for MMORPGs? Because the MMORPG genre is defined loosely by the fact that it is super time consuming, by the idea of long-term progression and meaning, and by the fact that it is very hard to actually ever finish the game, to actually be able to say, okay, I did everything. Not impossible, some people actually do that, just very hard. So please try to make me understand, if you can, what is with this discussion where we ask ourselves what is better for this gaming genre, for the MMORPG genre. The design philosophy that adds content over and over without invalidating anything from your past efforts and letting you play the game for thousands and thousands of hours, always having something to look forward to, or the design philosophy that gives you maybe 100 hours of actually meaningful gameplay every few months at best, and every few months deletes everything you did and you just start from zero again, making it feel almost like you never played the game before. This is not a discussion for sane people with working brains that understand anything about any MMORPGs. You are asking yourself if respecting the MMORPG genre is a good idea for an MMORPG. That is why most MMORPGs right now aren't even MMOs. They are action RPGs, and I have no idea why they don't embrace that. I have no idea why we don't call them that, because the truth of the matter is that all these games that are involved in this discussion suffer for it. For a game like Vanilla World of Warcraft, for example, a game that is not an MMORPG in almost any way, I think it would be better if they just fully embraced the ARPG term. Stop inviting new players to the game that are looking for an MMO and avoid endless posts and YouTube videos with millions and millions of views from people trying this famous MMORPG they never played before, where all of them without exception say the game is dogshit, because a lot of that happens because of the idea they come with into it. They think they are installing an MMORPG when in reality they are not. They are installing a seasonal ARPG with good systems and very good gameplay if you look at it through those lenses, but very bad systems and very bad gameplay if you think you are going to play an MMORPG. And for real MMOs like Classic Plus, if this stupid discussion would finally die down, it would become much easier for developers like the ones from Blizzard Entertainment to understand what they should do and understand what they can copy from other games that have already done a good job from the MMO genre. And there is absolutely no shame in copying anything at all, and that is what I wish Blizzard would do. Gaming, like any other form of art or entertainment, has always been building upon itself. Wolfenstein 3D deeply inspired Doom, Doom deeply inspired Quake, Quake deeply inspired Half-Life 1 and 2, Half-Life 1 and 2 deeply inspired the entire FPS genre we have today. This is how progress works in these kinds of things. And even beyond that, the Blizzard you once loved in the past, you loved it for this exact reason. There is nothing, I repeat, nothing that Blizzard ever made that was really original. All their games, without one single damn exception, is them copying other people's stuff and just making it better, because they are better at making those things. Blizzard was never the best at creating something unique. They were once the best at refining already existing products though. So, going back to the stupid horizontal progression versus vertical progression debate, there is no debate. One is the core of what MMOs are, and one is the opposite of it. Simple as that. It's actually that fucking simple. And if Blizzard knew this, if they would not see stupid debates in the community making them confused, I would be a bit less worried about Classic Plus. Because then I would know, they are just gonna copy what old school RuneScape does. For sure, it's gonna be fine. That is what Classic Plus needs to do, and I am tired of pretending like there is a better solution, because there isn't. What I am going to say next is gonna be a bit weird, and maybe it's gonna make you a bit angry, but you have to give it a chance and chew on it a bit. And if you do that, I think you're gonna see what I am saying, because Vanilla World of Warcraft is a better video game than old school RuneScape. 100%. If we talk about the sum of everything that makes a digital product a video game, Vanilla World of Warcraft is better. The gameplay quality, the music, the lore, the graphics, the stability, the smoothness, the amount of fun you have in the time span the game can make you play. Vanilla World of Warcraft is better, objectively. If you for some reason told me that you are a gamer that for the next 200 hours can play just one video game in this world, I knew nothing about you and you told me that the only two options are Classic World of Warcraft or Old School RuneScape, 100% I would recommend Classic. But if you tell me, hey man, I actually love MMORPGs and I want to play something for years and years, because you know, that is what MMOs are trying to do by definition, I'm sorry, because at that point, and my audience is maybe not gonna like this, but since I know that you want an MMO and not just any video game, I know the better MMO is objectively Old School RuneScape, so that is what I'm going to propose. Play OSRS. As far as just being an MMO goes, there is no better game on the planet right now than Old School RuneScape. And that is to me very objective. I just look at it objectively and I see what it does. I know what the MMO genre is. It's not this a thing we cannot define. It's not this weird unspoken dream. We know what an MMO is and we see what OSRS is, and it's one of the very few actually genuine MMOs on the market. It took me some time to realize and acknowledge and accept that, but here I am. That is not to say that Classic is not a good MMO. It's a top tier MMO. It could be the best, but it just isn't enough of it. Because if we were to limit the comparison to the first 200 hours, for example, the first 200 hours of gameplay of your first playthrough, and compare OSRS and Vanilla, then the battle is still fierce, but Vanilla World of Warcraft wins, in my opinion. It's just that, as I said, for the MMORPG genre, being good for 200 hours is not enough at all. This is not a single player game where 200 hours of gameplay gets you Game of the Year. This is a genre that for the people that are into it, because some people would never have fun playing this kind of game, and that is alright, but for the people that are into it, you should be able to play for 2000 hours, have a great time, have fun, and still not want to stop. That is a good MMO, and you cannot do that in Classic WoW without raid logging and playing for 2 hours a week and then logging off. But you know, it just so happens that a new version of Classic is about to come out. So what would happen if this new version of Classic would shamelessly start copying the design philosophy of old school RuneScape? I think we would get something absolutely insane. Because when you look at these two games, each one misses what the other one has to make the perfect MMORPG. The only thing is, OSRS, by the virtue of what it is, will never be able to steal what it misses from Vanilla World of Warcraft. It simply cannot, because if it did, it would become another game completely. And that other game could not be named RuneScape anymore, but it could be named Classic Plus. Because in the case of Vanilla World of Warcraft, it absolutely can steal everything from OSRS. OSRS is the best MMORPG right now, the best on the market, and while it can get even better than this, I don't think it can get a lot better. And no shame in that, the game is absolutely incredible. The potential of Classic Plus though puts that to shame. They just have to steal, or if you want a better word, combine the qualities of the two games together. And maybe it sounds weird because the game would change a lot, and I never got that mindset either. If the game does not change a lot, if they do what they did when they added Blackwing Lair for the first time, all those years ago, if they do what they did when they added AQ for the first time, if they do what they did when they added Naxxramas for the first time, if they do what they did when they released TBC, and any other expansion, if they just do that again and they don't do something very different, we end up with retail at some point. That moment can be delayed, but if fundamentally that is all they do and they don't change it, we will get there at some point. Because Vanilla Naxxramas was insane gear-wise already, whatever would have come after that if it was not TBC, if they never started doing expansions and would just add more and more raids, for example, the next raid would have been the first raid where any raid before Naxxramas would have not mattered. For the most part, if you can get your hands on Naxxramas gear, it is so much better than anything that came before that. There is no point at all for you and your guild to raid any other previous raid. You just do Naxxramas as you prepare for the new raid that came after that. And so you can see content would have been forgotten even if we never got TBC. The point where the power creeping got high enough was actually Naxxramas, not TBC. We just didn't see it because the game got reset with the first expansion. And they never got out of that mindset. It's been like that ever since. Maybe it could be better than retail in the sense that instead of having one single raid be meaningful, we could have a set of raids matter, but at some point every single raid, every single patch of content would at some point be forgotten and not feel relevant. And that happens if you don't change the way you approach things fundamentally, because this is a fundamental problem with how this game was designed from the very beginning. So, oh no, don't make it too different, I want classic, I want the vanilla spirit. Going in that direction, respecting those kinds of ideas without thinking about it, is exactly how you don't get that. Because not changing it was what made classic and vanilla be a temporary experience. The fact that they did what they did, starting from vanilla, is what got us retail in the first place. In the end, you have to expand the game horizontally, because the game is a fucking MMORPG. Just like Counter-Strike and Valorant have to focus a lot on gunplay and on skill expression because they are competitive FPS games, just like that Classic Plus has to focus on expanding the game horizontally. And Blizzard never did that properly, not even during vanilla. So yes, what the game needs, what Classic Plus needs to succeed is something they never did before, not even in vanilla. If what you want is just more vanilla, I totally get it. I have maybe even over 10,000 hours in that game myself. I love it to death, but just go play Era in that case. We want something more. We want a game that expands, but not in the way it did in our current timeline. I don't want another expansion. I don't want content to be forgotten. What I want from Classic Plus is Vanilla World of Warcraft. The amazing foundation that is unmatched by anything that was ever made, that is Vanilla World of Warcraft, but iterated on, like it was an MMORPG, not an ARPG. I want to be able to spend thousands of hours, have something to do at all times because this is an MMORPG, and still have fun, and want to do it all over again tomorrow, and the day after that, and so on. And the reason I say go and copy OSRS is partly because that is what Blizzard always did, so I see no problem with that again. Just copy the good games on the market right now. That's how we got Vanilla, Warcraft 3, StarCraft 1 and 2, Overwatch and so on. So if we get something as good as that again from them copying stuff, why the fuck would I care? But I also say that because I respect and trust what the guys making OSRS are doing. I don't respect and I do not trust Blizzard. I don't want Blizzard to go and do their own thing using their own brilliant minds, because that way we get nightmare incursions again. But it was just an experiment, bro! Yeah, right. As I said it a million times already, they started calling Season of Discovery an experiment only when things started going to shit, and even if it was an experiment, you should be worried that someone that thinks that something like Nightmare Incursions is something worth experimenting with in a vanilla environment is probably working on Classic Plus right now. Anyway, very ranty video, I know. It is what it is. I just wanted to say these things. Let me know what you think in the comments. I hope the amount of hate I will get is not too big, but we'll see. A huge thanks to Son of Jade and Yogi the Yoga Bear for being channel members. I appreciate that more than you think, guys. If you wanna support me and help me be able to make more videos like this in the future, you can become a channel member as well, and it would be deeply appreciated. But anyway, guys, don't forget to sub to the channel and give the video a like if you liked it, and until the next time, peace.